The Nightwalker. The small town of Riverview had always been a quiet place. Nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, it was the kind of town where everyone knew each other. But that peace was shattered one cold autumn night when Lily Harper disappeared. Lily was a bright, cheerful teenager, loved by everyone in town. She had gone to the annual fall festival with her friends, but she never made it home. Her parents, frantic with worry, called the police. A search party was organized and the whole town came together to look for her. But as the days turned into weeks, hope began to fade. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a stranger arrived in Riverview. He was tall and gaunt with piercing blue eyes and a cold, unsettling presence. He introduced himself as Dr. Victor Blackwood, a private investigator specializing in missing persons. Lily's parents, desperate for answers, welcomed his help. Dr. Blackwood wasted no time. He began his investigation by speaking with Lily's friends and family, retracing her steps on the night she disappeared. He learned that Lily had been seen leaving the festival with a young man named Jake Turner, who had a reputation for trouble. But when Dr. Blackwood questioned Jake, the boy was adamant that he had left Lily at the edge of the forest, where she said she wanted to go for a walk alone. The forest that bordered Riverview was thick and dark, and the townspeople avoided it at night. There were old legends about the forest, stories of strange creatures and people who ventured in, never to return. Dr. Blackwood, however, was not deterred. He believed that the forest held the key to Lily's disappearance. One moonless night, armed with a flashlight and a notebook, Dr. Blackwood entered the forest. The air was cold and damp, and the trees seemed to close in around him. As he walked deeper into the woods, he felt a growing sense of unease. The forest was silent, save for the crunch of leaves under his feet and the occasional rustle of branches. After what felt like hours, Dr. Blackwood came across a clearing. In the center stood an old, dilapidated cabin. Its windows were broken, and the door hung off its hinges. As he approached, he noticed strange symbols carved into the wooden walls, symbols that looked ancient and foreboding. Inside the cabin, he found evidence of recent activity. There were blankets on the floor, remnants of food, and a small, dirty mirror on the wall. But the most chilling discovery was a collection of photographs pinned to the wall. They were all of Lily, taken from different angles and at different times. Some were from the festival, others from her home and around town. Someone had been watching her. Dr. Blackwood took photos of the cabin and the symbols, intending to research them further. As he turned to leave, he felt a presence behind him. He spun around, but there was no one there. Shaking off the feeling, he made his way back to town. Over the next few days, Dr. Blackwood delved into the town's history. He discovered that the symbols on the cabin were part of an ancient ritual used to summon a dark entity known as the Nightwalker. According to legend, the Nightwalker could control the minds of those who ventured into the forest, leading them to their doom. Determined to find the truth, Dr. Blackwood returned to the forest, this time with a plan. He carried a bag of supplies and a map he had drawn from his previous visit. As he navigated the dense woods, he felt the same sense of unease, but he pressed on. When he reached the clearing, he found the cabin just as he had left it. He set up a series of cameras and motion sensors around the perimeter, hoping to capture any activity. Then, he waited. As night fell, the forest grew eerily silent. Dr. Blackwood sat in the cabin, his flashlight casting long shadows on the walls. Hours passed, and just as he was about to give up, he heard a noise outside. It was a low, guttural growl, unlike anything he had ever heard. He grabbed his flashlight and cautiously stepped outside. The growl grew louder, and he saw movement in the shadows. His heart pounded as he scanned the darkness, but he saw nothing. Suddenly, he felt a cold hand on his shoulder. He spun around, but there was no one there. Panicked, Dr. Blackwood retreated to the cabin and locked the door. He could hear the growling all around him growing closer. The symbols on the walls seemed to glow with an unnatural light. He realized, too late, that he had walked into a trap. As the growling intensified, the cabin door burst open and a dark figure stepped inside. It was tall and humanoid, with glowing red eyes and long claw-like fingers. The Nightwalker. Dr. Blackwood tried to run, but his legs wouldn't move. The creature reached out and touched his forehead, and everything went black. When Dr. Blackwood woke up, he was no longer in the cabin. He was in the heart of the forest, surrounded by the symbols that had haunted him. He tried to stand, but his body felt heavy and unresponsive. He realized with growing horror that he was no longer in control. The Nightwalker's voice echoed in his mind, a sinister whisper that filled him with dread. "You sought the truth.